أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the search of Dulkarnain. It is still an unsolved mystery that who is Dulkarnain. Some scholars in the past although thought that Dulkarnain was Alexander the Great. Some thought that he was Cyrus the Great, and some thought that he was some another person. Some thought that he was a traveler, and some thought that he was a pious king other than Alexander the Great. If he was not Alexander the Great, who was he then? Scholars are confused about the Zulkarnain, but in modern time, scholars have some strong clues about the Zulkarnain. Many thousands of years ago, the barbarous tribes of Gog and Magog were imprisoned behind an iron wall built by Dhul-Qarnain. Referred to in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf, Dhul-Qarnain was a Muslim of Arab, Fatihul Bari. According to Fatihul Bari, he was a Muslim Arab who lived at the time of the Prophet Ibrahim salam, and not Alexander the Great as he is commonly known. From amongst one of the four that ruled the earlier world, entire world, the other three being Prophet Suleiman salam, Nimrud and Bakht Nasr. He was a pious and just king, provided with all forms of strength through which he was able to carry his conquest and missions. Dhul-Qarnain, the two-horned, is a symbolic name. It does not actually mean someone to horn, but it represents the person who traveled to the two extremes of the world, means extreme east and extreme west. According to Surah Al-Kahf 18, verse 83 101 to 101 of the Quran, he was a figure empowered by Allah to erect a wall between mankind and Gog and Magog, who attacked the civilized nations and territories and killed the people there. In the Islamic prophecies about end of the world would be preceded by the release of Gog and Magog from behind the wall and their destruction by God in a single night would usher in the day of resurrection. Dhul-Qarnain and Alexander the Great. That means, was Alexander the Great Dhul-Qarnain or not? Dhul-Qarnain, or in Arabic Zul-Qarnain, Zu means two and Qarn means horn. So literally Dhul-Qarnain means the two-horned one. This name is mentioned in the Holy Quran. Some people think it may be a reference to Alexander III of Macedonia, 356 to 323 BC, popularly known as Alexander the Great. If someone thinks Dhul-Qarnain was a well-known figure in the lore of the ancient dwellers of the Arabian Peninsula, it is not true. If the Arabs knew that, they would not ask the questions. If everybody knew that Alexander was Dhul-Qarnain, then Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his followers also knew that. So it was not a difficult question. Some Muslim scholars thought that Alexander was Dhul-Qarnain, but some scholars thought that he was not Alexander and he was another from Persia or South Arabia. It has also been a matter of theological controversy amongst Muslim scholars since early times. Some Muslim scholars thought that Dulkarnain may be Cyrus the Great instead of Alexander the Great. There have been many different cultural depictions of Alexander the Great since antiquity. Some similarities between the Quran and the Alexander romance were also identified in recent research based on the translation of certain medieval Syriac manuscript. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The rising and setting place of the sun. A peculiar aspect of the story of Dulkarnain in the Holy Quran is that it describes Dulkarnain traveling to the rising place of the sun far east and the setting place of the sun far west, where he saw the sun sets into a murky or boiling spring of water or mud. Dulkarnain also find a people living by the rising place of the sun and find that these people somehow have no shelter. In this commentary of the Quran, Ibn Khatir 1301 to 1373 AD explained that verse 18 to 89 is referring to the furthest point that could be traveled west until when he reached the setting place of the sun, means he followed a route until he reached the furthest point that could be read in the direction of the sun setting at that time, which is the west of the earth. As for the idea of his reaching the place in the sky where the sun sets, this is something impossible. And the tales told by storytellers that he traveled so far to the west that the sun set behind him are not true at all. Most of these stories come from the myths of the people of the book, Jews and Christians, and the fabrications and lies of their heretics. In this commentary, Ibn Khatir differentiate between the end of the presumably flat earth and the supposed place in the sky where the sun sets, the resting place of the sun. Ibn Khatir contends that Dulkarnain did reach the farthest place that could be traveled west, but not the resting place of the sun. And he goes on to mention that the people of the book, Jews and Christians, tell myths about Dulkarnain traveling so far beyond the end of the earth that the sun was behind him. This shows that Ibn Khatir was aware of the Christian legends, and it suggests that Ibn Khatir considered Christian myths about Alexander to be referring to the same figure as the Dulkarnain mentioned in the Quran.